Good evening, all, and welcome back to Farcical Fears. Run. The basement. There were bodies. She texted, "See you Tuesday, Marcus." She died 6 months ago. I lost 5 hours. Where did I go? 3 drivers, 3 deliveries. 1 never returned. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to Farcical Fears for daily true horror content that will keep you up at night. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when the darkness calls. 3 true pizza delivery horror stories. Verified through police records, names changed, but everything else exactly as it happened. Marcus thought Tuesday nights were easy money. He was wrong. Story 1. She Knows Your Name. Marcus sat in his car outside 4477 Mesquite Lane, staring at the foreclosure sign. The house had been abandoned for 11 months. The windows were boarded up. The grass was waist-high and dead. But for the past 9 weeks, someone had been ordering pizza to this exact address. Someone who knew his full name. Someone who had photos of him from months ago. And 30 seconds earlier, his phone had buzzed with a new order. Same house, same order, same message. "I miss you, Marcus. Same time next week?" But to understand how Marcus ended up here, we need to go back 9 weeks. Back to when Tuesday nights seemed like easy money. Marcus Chen, 23, had been delivering pizzas in Phoenix for 3 years. He knew the routes. He knew the customers. Tuesday nights were his favorite shift, predictable, low stress, decent tips. At exactly 8:47 p.m. every Tuesday, the same order came through. Large pepperoni, extra cheese, 2-liter Sprite. Same address, 4477 Mesquite Lane. Nice neighborhood, good tip. Contactless delivery preferred. Cash left in an envelope by the front door. Simple. For 6 weeks, it was the easiest $30 Marcus made all week. But week 7? That's when everything started to unravel. Week 7 arrived like clockwork. Same order, same time, same address. But when Marcus picked up the envelope, his stomach dropped. Written across the front in neat handwriting. Marcus Anthony Chen. His full legal name. The name on his driver's license. The name he'd never given to any customer. He checked the receipt. Order placed under the name Your Friend. Marcus should have stopped right there. Should have called his manager. Should have blocked that address. But what happened next made that impossible. Week 8. Same order, same time. But this time, the envelope was heavier. Inside was the cash tip and a photograph. Marcus stared at it under his car's dome light. It was him, delivering a pizza to a completely different house, a house he barely remembered. The photo was taken from across the street, zoomed in. He was circled in red marker. On the back, a date, March 14th, 4 months ago. His hands were shaking now. Someone had been watching him, following him, photographing him for months. But nothing could have prepared Marcus for week 9, the week he finally saw her face. Tuesday night, 8:45 p.m. 2 minutes before the usual order time, Marcus's phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Can't wait to see you tonight, Marcus. I've been practicing what to say." He never gave anyone his number. It wasn't on the receipts. It wasn't public. At 8:47, the order came through. Against every instinct screaming at him to refuse, Marcus took it. He had to know who this was. He drove to Mesquite Lane with pepper spray in his pocket and 911 ready on his phone. What he saw when the door opened changed everything he thought he knew about reality. A woman answered. Late 30s, pale, too thin, with eyes that looked like they hadn't blinked in hours. She smiled. A smile that was too wide, too familiar, too intimate for a stranger. Finally face to face, Marcus. I've been waiting so long for this moment. Do you remember me? He didn't. He'd never seen her before in his life. Of course you do, she whispered, stepping closer to the screen door. You came to my house in March. You smiled at me. You said, "Have a nice night." Those were the last kind words anyone said to me before. She stopped, tilted her head. Before I left. Marcus backed away. I think you have the wrong person. I deliver to a lot of people. She recited his license plate number, his car's make and model, the exact time he'd arrived at her house 4 months ago. You were wearing a red shirt that night, Marcus. You had a small coffee stain on the collar. Marcus ran. But what he discovered the next day would haunt him forever. He couldn't sleep. At dawn, he drove to the address from the photograph, the house from March. An elderly man answered, confused and concerned when Marcus asked about the woman. Are you asking about my daughter, Sarah? Marcus nodded. The old man's face darkened. Sarah had problems. After her husband left, she became obsessed with people. Strangers mostly. Last year it was a mail carrier, this year some poor delivery driver. She'd follow them, photograph them. The court ordered psychiatric evaluation. She's been at Desert Springs Mental Health Facility for 7 months now. Why are you asking? 7 months. She'd been institutionalized for 7 months. So who had been ordering pizza? Marcus drove back to Mesquite Lane in broad daylight. The street looked different in the sun. The house at 4477 was clearly abandoned. Foreclosure notice dated 11 months prior. Windows boarded with plywood. No furniture visible through the cracks. The mailbox was rusted shut. Weeds had consumed the driveway. He called his manager from the car. Checked the payment records for 4477 Mesquite Lane, all of them. Every single payment. Cash. Left outside. Phone number on the account. Disconnected since March. Marcus quit that night. But Sarah, or whoever was pretending to be Sarah, wasn't done with him. Marcus sat there, engine running, trying to process the impossible. His phone buzzed. New delivery order. His blood turned to ice. Large pepperoni, extra cheese, 2-liter Sprite. 4477 Mesquite Lane. Delivery instructions. I miss you, Marcus. Same time next week? He blocked the number, deleted the app, quit the job that night. But every Tuesday at 8:47 p.m., Marcus still checks his rearview mirror, still locks his doors, still wonders who or what was waiting for him at that abandoned house. Story 2. Apartment 3B. Kayla's back was pressed against the security gate. The metal was cold through her shirt. Behind her, the coded lock she couldn't break. In front of her, 2 men blocking the only exit. The first man, the one who'd faked the injured leg, wiped pepper spray from his eyes and smiled through the pain. The second man emerged from the basement stairs holding zip ties and duct tape. Just make this easy, sweetheart, he said. And that's when Kayla started screaming, "Fire! Fire! Fire!" The one word she knew would make people actually open their doors. But let's rewind. Let's talk about how a 19-year-old college student ended up trapped in a human trafficking operation. It started with what seemed like a normal Friday night. Kayla Rodriguez was 8 months into her pizza delivery job. Wayne State University student, criminal justice major, working the Friday late shift because it paid time and a half. She needed every dollar for tuition. At 11:47 p.m., her last order of the night popped up. $87 worth of food. Big order meant big tip. She could go home after this one. The address was Riverside Apartments. Kayla had delivered there before. Rough neighborhood, sure, but she'd never had problems. What she didn't know was that 3 other drivers had taken orders to that exact building. None of them made it home. The first red flag. Payment method was cash. Unusual for an order that large. Most people used cards for big orders. But Kayla ignored it. She had rent due Monday. She needed this tip. She texted her roommate the address. Standard safety protocol. Last delivery. Be home by 12:30. Then she drove into the night. When Kayla pulled up to Riverside Apartments at midnight, half the exterior lights were broken. That should have been her second warning. But what happened next made it impossible to turn back. The building looked darker than usual. She could hear a couple arguing 3 floors up, a dog barking somewhere. The normal chaos of a low-income apartment complex at midnight. Apartment 3B was on the 3rd floor. No elevator. Kayla climbed the stairs, pizza bags in hand, pepper spray clipped to her belt. The stairwell smelled like mildew and cigarettes. Graffiti covered the walls. Someone had tagged "Turn Back" on the 2nd floor landing. Kayla barely registered it. She knocked on the door of apartment 3B at exactly 11:52 p.m. In 8 minutes, her entire life would change forever. A man answered, mid-40s, unshaven, wearing a stained shirt. But he only opened the door partially. The security gate, the metal barrier between the door and hallway, stayed locked. "My leg's messed up," he said, pointing to crutches leaning against the wall behind him. "Can you just bring it inside? I'll add an extra tip." Through the gate's metal bars, Kayla could see the apartment was nearly empty. Just a folding chair. Bare walls. No TV. No furniture. No signs of normal life. Every instinct Kayla had screamed, danger. But she made one fatal mistake. She opened that gate. He'd already paid the $87. She just needed the tip, just needed to hand him the food. 5 seconds max. She unlocked the security gate and stepped into the narrow hallway. The gate slammed shut behind her. Click, coded lock. She was trapped. What happened in the next 60 seconds is the reason Kayla is alive today. Because she did something the other 3 drivers didn't do. The man wasn't using his crutches anymore. He stood up straight, blocking the only exit. "Take it downstairs," he said, pointing to a basement door at the end of the dark hallway. A voice called from below. "Is that the food?" But Kayla had already dropped the pizzas. Her hand found the pepper spray. "Let me out. Now." He stepped forward. "You're already here, sweetie, just..." She sprayed. Direct hit. He screamed, stumbling backward, clawing at his eyes. But what came up those basement stairs made Kayla realize this was never about pizza. Footsteps, running, heavy boots on wooden stairs. Kayla slammed herself against the security gate. Locked. She needed a 4-digit code. She had maybe 10 seconds before. A second man emerged from the basement. Younger, maybe mid-20s. He was holding zip ties, duct tape, and a syringe. In that moment, Kayla remembered something from her criminal justice class. Something that would save her life. People don't respond to screams for help. They ignore them. Assume it's a domestic dispute. Assume someone else will call. But people respond to one word: fire. Fire! 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 Kayla screamed at the top of her lungs. She smashed her phone against the window. Glass cracked. "Fire in the building! Everyone get out!" And that's when everything changed. Lights turned on across the street. Someone yelled, "What's going on?" A door opened on the 2nd floor. A man stepped out. "I'm calling 911. The first man, still coughing from the pepper spray, panicked. "Just let her go. Let her go. Too many witnesses." He punched in the code. The gate clicked open. Kayla ran. She didn't look back. She got to her car, locked every door, and called 911 while driving 70 miles per hour away from that building. Detective Morrison showed her photos at the police station 3 hours later. The basement of apartment 3B had a mattress bolted to the floor. Chains, camera equipment, restraints, soundproofing on the walls. "You're the fourth driver they lured," the detective said quietly. She laid out 3 photographs. 3 young women, ages 18 to 22, all delivery drivers, all last seen near Riverside Apartments, all missing. "You're the first one who made it out." Both men were arrested within 24 hours, connected to a trafficking ring operating across 3 states, because Kayla remembered one word: fire. She graduated 4 years later with a degree in criminal justice. Now she works with trafficking survivors, teaching them what she learned that night: trust your gut, fight back, and scream fire. Story 3. The 5-hour delivery divan stood in the doorway of the cabin, frozen. The dining room table was set for 6. 4 of the chairs held mannequins dressed in formal attire, positioned like they were mid-conversation. The 5th chair, the one facing him, had a name card: driver. The food on the plates was rotting, covered in mold, crawling with flies. And behind the table, the basement door hung open. 5 figures stood down there in perfect stillness, all looking up at him. One was wearing a pizza delivery uniform. The name tag said Josh. Devin remembered Josh. Josh had disappeared 2 years ago. But this nightmare started 40 minutes earlier, with what seemed like the easiest money Devin would make all month. Devin Hayes, 28, had been delivering pizzas in rural Oregon for 6 years. He was a veteran. He'd seen it all, or so he thought. Sunday night, 9:47 p.m., a massive order popped up on his screen. $200 worth of food. $75 tip promised. The address was 40 minutes outside town, near the edge of Cascade Forest. $75 for an hour of driving? Devin took it without hesitation. He had no idea he'd just accepted a delivery to somewhere that shouldn't exist. The GPS guided him out of town. Streetlights disappeared. The radio turned to static. Rain started falling. Fog rolled in thick across the road. His phone's GPS glitched twice, but kept recalibrating. Just bad weather, Devin thought. At 10:29 p.m., he pulled up to the address. The cabin was wrong from the first second he saw it. Too clean, too modern, too perfect for the middle of nowhere. All the lights were on. Smoke drifted from the chimney. 2 expensive cars sat in the driveway, a Mercedes and a BMW. The porch light flickered as Devin approached, pizza bags in hand. A woman answered the door before he could knock. Late 30s, exhausted, pale. She wouldn't look at him. She whispered, barely audible. "Wrong address. Leave. Now." Devin should have listened, but what came next made running impossible. "Ma'am, this is 14292 Forest." Her eyes went wide with terror. "Please, he'll hear you. Just go." A male voice called from inside. "Honey, is that dinner? Bring our guest inside." The door opened wider. A man appeared, tall, well-dressed, smiling too wide. His eyes never blinked. He held up a stack of $100 bills. "Come in. Get your tip. I insist." Every nerve in Devin's body screamed danger. Devin made a choice he'll regret for the rest of his life. He stepped inside. The entryway smelled wrong, like rot and flowers mixed together. The hallway was too long for the cabin's exterior. That was impossible. But Devin's eyes locked on the dining room. 6 chairs, ornate table, candles burning, food served on fine china. But the food was decayed, moldy, writhing. And that's when Devin realized the people sitting at the table weren't people at all. 4 mannequins, dressed in suits and gowns, positioned mid-conversation, painted eyes staring at nothing. The fifth chair was empty. A name card sat on the plate. Driver. The man's hand landed on Devon's shoulder. "We've been waiting for you, Devon." He never said his name. Devon spun around. "How do you know?" That's when he saw the basement. The door behind the table hung open. Darkness below, but not complete darkness. 5 figures stood down there, standing perfectly still, all facing up, all staring at him. One of them was wearing a pizza delivery uniform. Devon's blood turned to ice. The name tag was visible even from the doorway. Josh. 2 years ago, a driver named Josh took a delivery to a forest address. He never came back. They found his car 3 days later, abandoned on a logging road. Empty. No blood, no signs of struggle. Just gone. Devon ran. But what happened during his escape defies every law of reality. He shoved past the man, who didn't try to stop him, didn't chase. Just stood in the doorway, waving, smiling, that too wide smile. Devon's hands shook so badly he could barely get his keys in the ignition. He sped away, checking his mirrors obsessively. No headlights followed, no movement, just the cabin, all its lights blazing in his rearview mirror. When Devon checked his car's clock, only 5 minutes had passed since he'd arrived. But that's not what the rest of the world said. Car clock, 10:34 p.m. He'd arrived at 10:29, 5 minutes, that's all. But when Devon pulled into the pizza shop parking lot, the clock on the building read 3:47 a.m., 5 hours gone. And then Devon noticed the odometer. He'd driven 80 miles round trip, 40 there, 40 back. His odometer showed 340 new miles. Devon checked his phone's GPS history. What he saw made him quit delivering forever. For 5 hours, his car had driven in perfect circles around the forest. Loop after loop after loop. But Devon remembered none of it. He reported everything to the police. They investigated the GPS coordinates. No structure at that location. Just forest. Google Earth showed nothing but trees. The address didn't exist. 1 week later, Devon received a text from an unknown number. 1 image attachment. The dining room table. 6 chairs now. The 6th chair had a name card. Devon. The message read, "You forgot your tip. The door is always open." Devon moved to California. Changed his number every month. Sold his car. But last month, his new car's odometer added 340 miles, while the car sat locked in his garage. The door, it seems, found him anyway.